Welcome to the Miss Mindset podcast, Sarah. I am so happy to finally have you here.
Thank you so much, Brie. I'm so excited for this. We've been talking about it for months. It's so awesome to get this time together. Such a big
Yeah.
compliment for you to invite me to be part of it. Thank you.
Oh, stop it. We actually, for listeners, like this sounds like we're old friends because that is how it feels whenever I talk to you and when I met you, even like we were just saying off air, it was literally in April this year. And I just feel like we're soul sisters. So I was
Yes.
really pumped for this conversation.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, I had to sort of do some reflection before stepping into this today. I'm
Yeah.
like, when did Brie and I first connect? And I'm thinking it was last year. But yeah, I sort of mapped it back because it was just before I took long service leave from my paid employment.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was April this year.
Oh,
So
that's
yes, we have
crazy.
a knack of just delving into talk, don't we? We
We
can't
do.
shut up when we connect.
I know. I feel like this podcast could be a long one. So, listeners,
Yes,
buckle up.
yes. Buckle up, everyone. We'll do our best. We'll try and be succinct today.
Yeah, we've never done it in the past, but we'll try.
Yes.
So, actually, there's already so much right there that you've said because you are so practicing what you preach for your clients at the moment and doing the things that light you up and creating your dream life. So, I want to talk about all of that because that's what you're doing in your personal life and what you help women do. So, before we dive into that stuff, I would like to know something you're grateful for today.
Oh, so many things. We could do a whole podcast on that, couldn't
On
we?
gratitude. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So many things to be grateful for. But one that comes to mind is the lovely women who have engaged with me since I launched my private practice full time. The
Mm,
women that come to see me and fully trust in me, come and see me for their first appointment and open up all of those wounds, become
mm,
very vulnerable and have conversations that they probably wouldn't even have with some of their closest loved ones, their friends and
yeah.
family, and just making a commitment to themselves to say, this is where I'm struggling, but this is what I'd like to improve upon. These are the goals I'd like to set for myself, letting me be a part of that process and, holding them accountable to that as we move through their sessions together. I'm
Mm,
incredibly grateful for that. And as you were saying, I would always be in line with I'm practicing what I'm suggesting you to do as well. And I don't look at myself as a perfect human. I know sometimes when people think psychologists, they've got all their shit together, but we're just going through the same motions as everybody else and learning as we go along.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel it's such a privilege. I'm so grateful for the women that have come into my life since launching. It's a
Mm.
blessing.
Oh, such a privilege. I totally understand that. And
Yeah.
you really do practice what you preach, which is so beautiful to watch. And
Yeah.
that's sort of my other question, just before we dive into what you do and who you help and how you help them. What is something that you love about yourself?
Oh, good question. Something I love about me is that I try and bring warmth and friendliness, and I'm really conscious about the energy that I share with each person that I interact with each day. So that's something that's been important to me since I was a young girl. But
Mm,
yeah, that is something that I love about myself. And when I get that feedback from people, like if somebody's had a referral from a friend of a friend or something, and they say, oh, look, they said that you were really warm and down to earth.
yes.
That's kind of the biggest compliment to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's all an energy game, isn't it? So if I can do something that makes someone feel seen and valued and
Yeah.
heard and acknowledged for who they are, that's a
Yeah.
pretty cool feeling. It's a very
Oh my
fulfilling
God.
thing that I get
Yeah.
out of the work that I do.
And I can attest to that. You are so warm. I've never
Oh,
seen
thank you so
anything but warmth
much.
from you, like all the time.
Thank you, Bree. My head is
Yeah.
getting bigger as we speak, but thank you so much.
So let's dive in. Sarah, who are you? What do you do? And how do you help the planet?
Oh, how do I help the planet? Gee, that's a big question, but who am I? So I turned 40 this year. So I'm a 39-year-old, turned 40 in December. I'm a mother, I'm a wife. I have two beautiful children. I've got a son who just turned 11 and a daughter who turned
Oh,
5. I
yeah.
happen to be a psychologist, and I think I've been doing this now for about 15 years. So it's been a
Wow.
while. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel that long at times. I still feel like I'm young at heart. But I hope I'm changing the planet in some way in by helping women realize how amazing they actually are. I
Mm,
work with so many women, and I think, gee, you don't realize how beautiful you are and how
yeah.
incredible you are and how worthy you so are.
Mm,
So I hope that I can help women basically fulfill their potential. I think sometimes we're a little bit
mm,
afraid of our own potential. it's hard to step into that sometimes. So yeah, I guess that's what I feel I'm put on this planet to do. Help people realize where they're in and out of alignment, I guess, and just helping people to, make that space to think about what do they actually want. Sort of recognize for a lot of people, we get caught up in this busy, fast-paced life, and years can go by and you sort of think, oh gee, I've ended up down this stream and it's not really the stream that I wanted, like doesn't have the scenery that I was hoping for. So yeah, there's something in just having an hour session with someone, hey, where you can just talk about like, this is where I'm at, this is where I kind of feel a bit unhappy, a bit discontent, and this is what I'm kind of seeing in my future that I want, but I'm a bit afraid to step into it, and just trying to help them build that confidence and self-belief that that's all there for them, and it starts in the imagination. You've just got to start there, get that visualization happening, and watch what happens.
I'm already like, oh God, here we go. There's so many questions that are going to come up from this. So you, like a lot of the women who come to you, they sort of come, like you've mentioned the word alignment. And so people will come to you at the beginning of a session, or when they start, sessions with you, and say, something's just not right. I don't feel like I've reached my potential. I'm not where I thought I would be. I'm a little bit unsure of what to do. What would you actually say? Like, first of all, what is alignment? And if somebody listening is like, oh, I kind of feel like that, like just not where I wanted to be. How do you help people to find alignment?
Well, I think the starting point is to go, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Like sometimes the lesson is this discomfort is telling me that perhaps I'm on the wrong track. And everything is in perfect timing. So as much as we might sit with regret and go, oh my gosh, if I could get a time machine, if I could go backwards and relive this, I'd make some different choices. And if we look at it that it's all learning and it's all an opportunity for growth, the feedback on where you're out of alignment is probably going to give you some insight into what you do want. So if this is what I don't want, this is what I'm doing when I don't feel right. So some people might say, I've been in this job for X amount of years and I loved it, but now I've been doing it for a decade and I'm just not feeling really that creative and I'm not feeling challenged. Then that's great feedback for us. It's like, okay, is it time for a new job, or is it that we need to develop your mindset, or do we need to get you talking to some of the leaders in your workplace so that you can do some different projects to sink your teeth into? But yeah, I think it's listening to your body, because your intuition in your body is going to give you feedback. Off track. Us thinking about, well, where do you want to move toward? Where you want to move toward is where you feel lit up, where you feel like you're on purpose, when you're sharing your gifts and your strength and your talents. I think life's short. So if there's some talents that are sitting in there that you may have been a bit afraid to share, if you keep coming back to it, it's like, well, maybe that needs to be expressed. And how can we get that to happen? Is it in your paid employment, or is it in your personal time around the edges of that? But I think it would be a shame to, get to your deathbed and think, oh my gosh, the music was still within me. Let's help you express that.
And that I resonate with that so much. It's always been my biggest fear. My biggest fear is to live with regret. And I think exactly what you said, like I'd rather try things and quote fail, get to my deathbed and go, I just played it safe, and I don't want a life that's safe. And actually you have, like I said in the beginning, you practice what you preach so much. And you went through your own evolution and moment, like in this last year, of going, maybe I want to change, maybe I want something new. So what was that like for you? And like you said, you're just a human with normal human experiences. What fears or doubts came up for you that other women would probably out there resonate with?
Oh my God, Bree, you would remember that first conversation where I said, I'm shit scared. And part of it was that people were asking for help from me, and I was sort of redirecting it and saying, oh, I'm probably not the right person for you. Let me refer you to some of my friends and colleagues that are in private practice. And I guess I was in a situation where it was kind of good because I was working part-time. So I did have a little bit of space. And as my daughter, she's obviously school age now. So once she was, more connected in school, I had a little bit of space to start seeing people one-on-one. But I did feel deep in my heart that I wanted to create more space for it. And I'm like, there's only 7 days in the week and I still need to look after my health and fitness and spend time with family. But had that little, I guess, space where I could take some long service to self-reflect and think about what I really wanted. And part of me had this thing where I was like, I feel like I'm being ungrateful for what was a really awesome job. Like I worked in a school working with teens that I loved. There was nothing bad about that workplace, but I felt like I was being called to do more adult work and kind of wanted to do it a bit independently in my own way. So without, I guess, some of the constraints that you have in a school system around, different processes that you have to follow and so forth. But yeah, I was shit scared. But also, as much as I'm shit scared, I do like change. So I guess I've had a bit of practice moving around Australia and moving houses lots of different times and doing different jobs at different periods of my life. I just thought, what have I got to lose? And perhaps what I need is some mentors to help me. So that was where I joined Steph Gorton's mastermind, and that you were a part of as one of the coaches for the strategy planning. And I'm so incredibly glad that I invested in myself. Like I even sat on that for probably 6 months before I signed up for it. So it's often marinating in the background, isn't it? Like you've sort of got this vision for yourself and you do a bit of self-sabotage, you put pause on it.
Yes.
And then the voice just gets louder and louder. And it was like, do you know what? I'm waiting for this perfect time, and the perfect time's never going to come. Maybe what I need to do is just to talk to someone, just to say, this is what's in my head. Does it seem like it's doable? I can see that you guys are doing something similar. How did you do it? And you guys helped me shortcut that. I thought it was going to be a year-long commitment to sort of stepping back perhaps from the schoolwork. Holy shit balls, it happened a heck of a lot more quickly. So I kind of had to pivot and talk to my lovely boss, who was really understanding, and just say, look, I think I need to take 12 months leave without pay and give this a good crack. And he was fabulous. And he's been a great mentor for me. And I trust that, he's supported me as well in doing this work too. So that's been a massive compliment as well.
Wow, that's so amazing. So you've kind of touched on a few things there that I know you've spoken about in your content. And one of the things that you say to your clients is so important is actually putting yourself in the right environment or with the right people who are for your growth and for your development and support your happiness. How important is that with your clients? And from a psychology perspective, like the people you spend your time around, how important has that been for you?
Oh my gosh, so important. They say that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I say this to my clients, like it's probably a thing that we've got to kind of audit regularly and just think about, like, who am I spending my time with? We can't choose our family, but hopefully if you've got a supportive family, that's wonderful. Sometimes they might not fully understand the dreams and commitments that you've got outside of the vision that they had for you. So if they're not going to be the right people, I guess you've got to think about who's in my friendship network. But you and I have even had that conversation. Sometimes friends just want to relate to you in the way that they remember you from perhaps even primary school or high school days. And when we start to step into something different, that can be a bit uncomfortable for them. So sometimes you might need to go out and find some mentors. Like I even say, it doesn't even need to be somebody that you pay for. Like to start off with, it might be someone that's written an autobiography and you're just lit up by how they overcame, certain things in their lifetime to do what they did, to share their gifts on this planet. I'm a big person too. There's so many. I mean, you and I are obsessed with Bob Proctor. I'm also obsessed with a guy called Dr. DeMartini. Who's no longer alive. Like there's some great I guess you call them psychologists or people in the area of psychology that share so much free content. So they might cost a lot of money to do their mentoring programs, but they have so much content where you can engage with that energy and learn and, expand your knowledge so quickly and probably find a way to shortcut, because they're saying, this is how I've created my success. Then you start thinking to yourself, well, they're not all that dissimilar to me.
It's so
they
true.
can do it. And that's why I sort of sought out female mentors, because I'm like, this is what I want to do to level up for me. And I want to have what she's having. Like, this girl's kind of, what is different between her and I? Perhaps it's just a mindset thing. Once you start to learn that, you're like, oh my God. So a lot of it is about what I'm saying in my head and what thoughts am I allowing myself to connect with. And if I'm letting the loud story of I'm not good enough come up, it's probably not going to get me the results I want. So I've got to perhaps exit out of that story as much as I can and connect with I am good enough. I don't have to be perfect. It's in a game of perfection. That's an illusion. Everyone's just making this up as they go along.
So true.
But yeah, seek out someone that you think, wow, she's living her life with confidence. So whether that's in her career, or it might even just be somebody where you're like, wow, she really honors and looks after her health and fitness. Like, you know, you might even think about, who am I following on Instagram? Is this person inspiring me, or is it making me feel worse about myself? Might be time to unfollow some that make you feel worse about yourself, but, you know, allow yourself to create that space for someone that's like, this is how I consume more whole foods through the day, or this is how I move my body. And then just starting to think, oh, if that's how she's doing it, we've got the same number of hours in the day. I could try and emulate some of that.
Yeah, so important. And you've just touched on like a mindset that is so, and it's so difficult these days, the mindset of, oh, she's got what I want, therefore I know I can have it, rather than, oh, she's got that, lucky her, or what a bitch, or whatever goes on inside of our heads. How important, or do you have any strategies that you sort of give to clients when they are getting sucked down that hole of comparisonitis and I'm not good enough, or just like she's got it, I can't have it? What do you say to that?
Yeah, I'd say first of all, it's probably leaning into that feeling that often we're ashamed of. And it's like, I'm getting a bit triggered and I'm feeling a bit of jealousy, or I'm, you know, getting that green-eyed envy. But then you can either let that take you down a path of, I'm never going to have it.
Yeah.
Or go, there's a reason why I'm feeling a bit of jealousy. It's because what's inside of her is actually inside of me as well.
Yeah.
So rather than using this to berate myself, it's going, what if I could use her as a source of inspiration? So she might just be on a different, I guess you'd say, a different path, or she's just been stepping down this journey for a little bit longer than you, but you can catch up to that. So she didn't just do it overnight. A lot of this stuff, there's the hidden work behind the scenes. So yeah, the comparisonitis is just going, what is it what's this mirror that's being held up for me? So I'm feeling a bit envious, but I could use that in a positive way rather than a way that makes me feel like I beat myself up and lose my self-confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah.
Just thinking about, what is it that she's doing that maybe I need to try and step into?
Yeah.
Maybe I need to step out of my comfort zone a little bit to make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd use it as a mirror to guide you, to say that's something you could create in your own way. It doesn't have to be a replica of her, because we're all different and that's your superpower. There's no one on this planet that has the same voice, looks the same, has the exact same combination of gifts as you're going to express that on this planet. It might just be saying, what is it about her that I'm feeling inspired by?
I love that so much. It's so true. I love the phrase, your triggers are your teachers. And so every time you feel jealousy or anger or anything, joy even, like that's teaching you something about yourself, which is so important if you're going to live the life that you really want. You need to know who you are first. And that's where you use your triggers really to find out more about yourself, what you want, who you are, who you're triggered by. It's beautiful. I love being triggered. I say that to my clients. This is awesome. Being triggered is great. Yeah.
It's great feedback, isn't it? Once you can kind of think about it in that perspective, it's like, oh my gosh, this is here to help me. It's helping me tap more into my own intuition.
Yes. Yeah. How do you, I'm really curious because, you know, both of us are big fans of Bob Proctor. So we talk about this a lot. How do you tap into your intuition?
Yeah. So I keep coming back to the question, is this action going to bring me closer toward who I want to be, or further away?
Yeah.
Or even if you lean into the feeling, so the intuitive feeling, like, is this going to make me feel better about myself or worse about myself?
Yeah.
So like you could use the example, like for me at the moment, I'm having to raise some awareness around some comfort eating and devouring like a full block of Cadbury chocolate by the end of the day. Okay.
I can relate to
so
that.
It's not just a few squares. It's like, I've started this. Now the chocolate's talking to me from the pantry and it's saying I may as well eat the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you look into like, is this bringing me closer toward who I want to be or further away? Yeah. But when I polish off the whole block, it's taking me further away, because it's like, this isn't a great feeling when I've overconsumed.
Yeah.
And I also know in terms of weight and health, it's not great if you're doing that every night.
Yeah.
So I'm now eating my feelings. I'm eating the stress after witching hour with the kids.
Yeah.
So it's kind of taking me away. And it's also noticing like there's a comfort feeling when I eat it, but then I feel terrible. I feel absolutely sick probably 10, 15 minutes later.
Yeah.
I guess that's a way, just tapping into intuition, knowing my body knows this isn't really what I'm meant to be having. Maybe a couple of squares, everything in
Yeah.
moderation, right? But
Yeah.
when I'm overindulging like that, it's probably not the best thing.
Mm.
And then just raising self-awareness around it, going, oh, whoa, I'm catching myself. I'm now up to like the 4th line of chocolate. It's getting to the halfway point, right?
Yeah.
And just thinking about like, what is it that I'm trying to do here? So I'm trying to relax. Maybe
Yeah.
there's something else I need to do that's going to make me feel more lit up and more proud of myself, 15 minutes later, versus the chocolate making me feel sick and a bit ashamed of myself for not having that self-control.
Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of going, you know what, it's okay to eat a few squares, but
Yeah.
perhaps I need to set myself up and have some good books sitting on the bedside table and
Yeah.
start reading that, because that
Yeah.
content really lights me up, makes me feel
Mm.
more intentional and more on purpose, makes me
Mm.
think about what kind of life I want to lead.
Yeah.
And, even I talk to some of my clients, it's around that mindlessness of, looking at Instagram all the time. So I get caught in that trap too, but sometimes
Yeah.
just thinking I've got to listen to that intuition that's saying this isn't really what I want and need right now. We need
Yeah.
a good book, or just, perhaps it's a Netflix show or something. But yeah, I don't need to spend hours on Instagram just doing the mindless scrolling, feeling worse
Yeah.
about myself because of it.
Yeah. And I guess it always comes back to that, like, that's great if you're really used to observing your own thoughts, like
Yes.
really listening to that voice inside of your head, which I know you're so passionate about.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit? Because we've all got that voice living inside of our head, that inner mean girl or the inner bitch or whatever.
We do.
What are your strategies for helping clients to increase that self-awareness so that their self-talk
Yeah.
improves? Because
Oh,
the way we talk to ourselves it literally becomes our destiny. Like
it does.
I'm going to get really passionate. I can feel it brewing up now. I'm like,
Yes.
I cry sometimes when I used to ask teenage girls. Now I ask my clients to do it. Sit and write everything that comes out when your inner bitch is talking, and far out the pens just get a real workout because we're so nasty to ourselves. And then of course, that creates our emotional state. Our emotional state changes the way we act and behave, and
Yes.
it impacts our whole life. So how do we increase and improve that self-awareness and our self-talk?
Yeah. So the first thing, like you're saying, is acknowledging everybody has that endless stream of self-talk just
Mm,
coming all day, every day, whether
mm,
we're aware of it or not. And
yeah.
it's separate to us. So we can't control the fact that the brain's serving up different thoughts,
Mm,
but probably a way to become aware of it is just witnessing the thoughts. And like you were doing there, you were naming some of those thoughts. So the bitch in my mind, or the
yeah.
mean girl in my mind,
Yeah.
and I guess the more helpful story in my mind. So the one that wants me to succeed versus the one
Mm,
that might be sabotaging me.
mm,
But some people can do that by raising awareness, just noticing it in their head. So I might say it's almost like clouds in the sky. You can witness each of those thoughts being placed on a different cloud. Or
mm,
another visualization is like leaves on a stream. You can see each of the thoughts being placed on the leaf.
mm-hmm.
You can witness
Yeah.
that it's there. You can let it pass you by, or you can
Yeah.
get connected with the ones that are going to serve you.
Mm,
Some people find it really useful to start writing down, these are my automatic thoughts through the day. And it
mm.
doesn't take long when they start recognizing, oh my gosh, there's a lot of negative self-talk here. It's no wonder why I'm not getting
Feeling
in line
good.
with the actions that are going to make me feel good. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then looking at how can I replace those. So, when you were saying, like, if you find a mentor
Mm,
and they're doing what you want to do, it might even be asking yourself, like, there's a likelihood she's had the same thoughts come up for her,
mm,
but what thoughts is she connecting with more of the time? So she might
mm.
be saying to herself, there's the voice that comes up that says, I can't do this.
Yeah.
But there's another thought that you can connect with that is like, I can do this. I've just got to try.
Yeah.
And if I just consistently take action in this direction every day, that's going to add up and
Yeah.
it's going to start to snowball in a positive direction
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
giving a voice too much airtime that says, I can't do this, there's no point. So
Mm.
that's going to get you a different set of results as opposed to the one that's more like a cheerleader kind of voice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
important, so important. And I guess
Yeah.
again, it's these two things. It's like, because when we're looking at the thoughts, is this thought getting me to where I want and taking me closer to the person I want to be?
Yeah.
That for some people might be a process in itself of thinking, well, I don't know where I want to be or what person I want to be. So especially if, like, I don't know if your clients are the same as mine, there's a lot of women out there, and I can totally relate to this. After a few years, you go, oh, I actually need to figure out who I am, because after years of maybe people pleasing
Yeah.
and molding to what you're supposed to be, that can be a process of unraveling as well. So let's sort of split that into two before we go down, the people pleasing path.
Yes.
How do we actually come back to, who am I?
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes it's even asking yourself, like, what do I like? I had
Yeah.
a client the other day and she's like, Sarah, I feel like I've started to become too much of a people pleaser, where whenever a friend says to me, what do you want to do? She
Yeah.
said it just pops out of my mouth without me even realizing. But she goes, oh, whatever you want to do, I'm not fussed.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about, like, perhaps before responding, so knowing that your friends are going to ask you next time, I might just be thinking about, like, what restaurant would I like to try
Yeah.
eating at? Like, what kind of food do I like?
Yeah.
So having that ready to roll off your tongue before your best friend says it next time, is just going, oh, hey, I was thinking about it. Like,
Mm,
have you heard of, such and such cafe down by the beach? Like, we could go and get brunch
mm,
and I'd love to go for a walk after.
yeah.
But just noticing, like, yeah, there is this automatic set of speech that comes out of my mouth without me even thinking about it, going, oh, I'm easy, whatever.
Yeah.
But then just thinking about, if I didn't say, oh, whatever, what would I like to try out? Or what kind of food do I actually like? So
Yeah.
instead of just saying, yeah, I like what you like, it's like deep down you do know the answer.
Yeah.
You haven't probably been giving yourself space and permission to do that.
Yeah.
And even sometimes, I know you do this as an exercise in some of your groups, is just thinking about, like, what did you love doing when you were a little kid,
Love
before
that.
grown-ups that didn't know any better
Yeah.
probably talked you out of whether you should do that or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does your inner child want to do?
Yeah. I know for
Mm,
me, like, I joke about it, I really love interior design. And
yeah.
I remember very well-meaning, adults in my life saying, oh my God, you would never make money out of that.
Yeah.
I probably won't give up my career as a psychologist. I'll probably just do that in my own time.
Yeah.
But I also have evidence that you could make that work if you really wanted that to happen, and you
Yeah.
had the talent and allowed yourself a bit of time and space to share
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You could make that happen if it's what you really want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you want? What do you like? What did that little child in you always want to do? What lights
Yeah.
you up? What makes you excited? And then I guess that
Yes.
would, once you know that, it's a little bit easier to stop the people pleasing tendencies, which is something I wanted to talk to you about, because
Yeah.
it's actually so interesting. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but of all of the episodes on the Miss Mindset podcast, the people pleasing one has got nearly 3 times the amount of downloads. Like,
That's
it is
really
real,
interesting.
very interesting, because I think women are like, oof, yeah, it's so easy to do. So what might it look like if you're being a people pleaser? How might that create, like, what would you be looking out for in your life? And how
Yeah.
do you encourage clients to sort of give some tools or tips or strategies to stop doing that?
Yeah. So I guess if you start to notice you're saying yes to things, and
Yeah.
afterwards you're like, damn it, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, we are socially conditioned for this. And particularly as women, you think it's like be a good girl,
Yeah.
don't make a noise,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
a yes person.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it's probably important for us to acknowledge, like, it's not a bad thing necessarily. Like, it's a good
Mm,
way to try and get along with people.
mm,
But the problem is when you take it too far and you're like, I'm not even expressing my authentic self anymore. Like, I'm literally just saying yes to every single person around me. And
yeah.
often you probably hear this from your clients too, where they go, I actually don't know who I am anymore. Or like you were sort of saying, like, I
Yeah.
actually don't know what I like, because
Yeah.
I'm just so used to going along with what everybody else wants. I haven't practiced checking in with myself what I like and what I dislike.
Yeah.
So probably a good part of noticing is going, oh my gosh, I'm saying yes all the time, even when I don't want to. But
Mm,
even, I guess it's that thing where you start to become resentful or
mm,
incredibly worn out. So I can think of, like, a lot of the women I work with, they're like, I'm at work and, anybody comes to me and says, oh, do you mind doing this? And they're like, oh yeah, no
oh
worries.
gosh,
Like,
yeah.
just wanting to be the, go-to person and be
Yeah.
supportive, right?
Yeah.
But then they get back to their desk and they're like almost rocking themselves in the corner going, I've just said yes to that, but I already didn't have time. Like
Yeah.
I'm already with too much on my plate.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be a moment is going, don't beat yourself up. So it just came out of you like automatic processing.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that you're recognizing, oh my gosh, I've got to go back and have a conversation
Yeah.
to say, I know I just said yes to you, but I've literally just looked in my calendar and I'm
Yeah.
reviewing everything that I'm committed to for this month. And I probably need to talk to you about, like, do we need to reprioritize my work tasks? So I still want to support you with that, but it means that this other thing probably is going to take me a bit longer.
Yeah.
Like, is that cool with you? Or
Yeah.
sometimes it might be just having that difficult conversation, going back and saying, look, I said yes to this, but I'm probably not your go-to person at the moment. Like, I want to give it my all,
Mm.
but I just don't have the space. So I think I'm better saying that to you now so that you can find somebody else that could do that for you. But then, of course, if they're like, no, you're the person, it's probably developing that confidence to say, look, something else has to go. I
Yeah.
need to integrate that into my current commitments here at work.
Yeah.
But the same thing could go with friendships or, even relationships with your family members. Is just going,
Yeah.
I'm saying yes to stuff, but I'm exhausted. Like I had
Yeah.
another client, she's like, my friends, they're wanting to include me. And I've always said yes to Saturday night drinking sessions,
Mm.
but she's made a commitment to herself. She wants to get more into the gym. And she's like, I actually don't want to drink as much anymore.
Yeah.
But I know that me putting myself in that social situation, I don't have the strength just yet to say no to the offers of the rounds of drinks.
Mm.
And she's a little bit afraid. She's like, I'm scared that if I say no, they're not going to be my friend anymore.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that her expressing that, good friends will be like, oh my gosh, we understand.
Yeah.
So for her, it's probably reframing and saying, look, I'm not up for the Saturday night drink. I know you
Mm.
might be hungover on Sunday, but if you're ready for a walk later in the afternoon, I'd love to do that with you. Let's catch up for a walk and talk and a coffee.
Yeah.
And do you know what? People that are your friends are going to understand that,
Mm.
and they're going to honour your authenticity and want to support that.
Mm.
But also, I guess part of it is mentally preparing. You will probably experience some resistance. So if you've been a people pleaser for the majority of your life, when you
Mm.
do start asserting yourself, you're probably going to get a bit of resistance from people.
Mm.
And often that's just because they've been loving having their own values constantly pedestaled rather than your own. So they've
Yeah.
got great benefit out of that.
Yeah.
But the right people will support you with that. And then if
Yeah.
others end up dropping away, I know a lot of my clients, it takes a little while to work through this, but they're like, do you know what? The people that dropped away, that probably needed to happen. Like that was a bit of shedding that I needed to do.
Yeah.
Because the right people are going to let you be you,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
going to
So
respect
right.
you for that.
Yeah, and it does. It's so difficult because we're conditioned and biologically we need to belong. And it
Yes.
really comes back to even the people pleasing. When you go down deeper, it's a fear of not belonging, a fear of
Yeah.
judgment, which is so rife.
Yes.
So what do you sort of say, and you kind of touched on it there, what do you say to clients or even for yourself in your own personal life, that crippling fear of judgment or not belonging? What do you
Yeah.
do to get through that?
Oh my gosh, it's tough going. So I admit I'm also a people pleaser
Mm.
and conditioned that way.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
guess, even if you look at it, I'm like, I pride myself on being a warm person, friendly person.
Yeah.
So it means that I'm also scared of being judged too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know for me, the best way of developing it is just thinking about the right people are going to support me with this.
Yeah.
So those that have got an issue with it, are they really then my genuine friend?
Mm.
I mean, that's tough going because, like you say, we want to be a part of the group.
Yeah.
But also, I guess just knowing the right people will be magnetized to you,
Yeah.
So it might be, I don't fit in with the drinking culture anymore, but if I lose those friends, like people that are more into the health and fitness are probably going to come to me like a magnet.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I'm making space for, like for me to live my more authentic or most authentic life,
Mm.
stepping away from a certain environment
Mm. And
and
just
stepping into
honoring
different.
what you need. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so
It
important.
takes so much courage though, doesn't it?
Oh, so
And
much
some of it
courage.
is knowing I do have this automatic processing to say yes. So I
Mm.
might need to journal.
Yeah.
When they ask me this next time, this is what my rehearsed script is going to be. And
Yeah.
then it might even be practicing it in front of the mirror, practicing it with a friend or your partner beforehand. I
Yeah.
know this comes up for a lot of people too, even like with their immediate family members. So,
Yeah.
family is often a high priority value.
Yeah.
But as, family dynamics shift, sometimes this can happen when people have children or they get
Mm-hmm.
married,
Mm.
and having to have that conversation with parents or siblings or
Yeah.
aunties and uncles just to say, look, I've now got somebody else in my life that I want to prioritize. I
Yeah.
still love you,
Yeah.
but I can't see you every Sunday night for that dinner as we used to. It's got to take a different form. And it's not because I
Yeah.
don't love you, but it's just that I've got to, use the minimal time that I've got each week
Yeah.
the best way possible.
Yeah, it's so interesting too, because funnily enough, when you do that and you do the scary communicating and you say what's your truth,
Yeah.
there's no more resent ever. And so the
Yes.
relationship can actually grow into something maybe different, but also maybe more beautiful, because there's not underlying dread and resent and rocking up to things energetically just not there. So I
Yes.
think the scary thing that you have to do sometimes is say what you need to say because you love the friendship or the
Yes.
relationship so much.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the boundaries are for you, but also your loved ones, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a loving thing to do. To set those boundaries is loving to you, but it's also loving to them. Look, I love you so much and our relationship so much that I can't keep saying yes to things and end up resenting you.
Yes.
That's just a different way to reframe it. Because I
Mm.
love you so much, I don't want to resent you and I have to say no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
That's,
just a rain check no for this week, but I'll see you
yeah.
during the week or next weekend when my cup is more full and I can be
Yes.
more fully present with you. That's the
Yeah.
greatest gift, isn't
I love that so much. And
it?
you've mentioned a few little words there where I was like, oh, we're getting to the nice woo woo place. I can feel it
Yes.
because you've said
Yeah.
the visualization, and you'll attract and magnetize when you're authentically you attract and magnetize who you are. And I know, from being a big fan of your Instagram page, in your resource list, you're a big fan of Abraham and Esther Hicks and
Yeah.
Bob Proctor, like you mentioned. So
Yeah.
do you just want to speak to how that's been a big part of either your own personal development journey or how it's helped your clients? That is
Yeah.
like a bit more of a spiritual approach, I guess, to life.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm I'm a bit of a scientist, so the nerd in me is going to come out. And I
Yeah,
know
good.
you've connected with this too. When
Yeah.
people in this area of spirituality talk
Yep.
about everything is energy.
Yep.
And this is scientific fact. So this is not woo.
Yes. Thank you, Sarah.
We are an energy system, just as everything that's sitting on my desk that I'm sitting at has an energy in it. All the furniture in my room,
Yeah.
everything is energy.
Mm.
So once you realize that, that's why I'm so big on, like, I've got to think about what energy I'm bringing to every situation I'm in, because then you're going to attract that back. If like attracts like, so if you're in a good place for yourself, I guess this comes to the crux of why I do what I do. If you can
Yeah.
help people get in a really good place for themselves, that's going to rub off on everybody that they're around.
Mm.
It's only going to help everyone on this universe level up, really.
It's so true. It really is. And it's like, everything is energy, including our thoughts, including our emotions, like our emotions will emit a different vibration. And if
Mm,
everybody's vibrating at a higher level, we're raising other people with us, which is why
yeah,
it's so beautiful to watch people live their authentic life
it is.
and live their dream life, because it's so infectious and other people, the right people, will be magnetized to that and want to do the same. So
It is.
it's
And
really
it's
cool.
so funny when you talk about those teachers. So Abraham Hicks, Bob Proctor, I think for me it started with Wayne Dyer. And
Oh, I
all of
love him.
these famous authors are kind of interconnected in their own
Yeah.
ways as well. So isn't it weird when you start reading their work and you're like, oh my God, they know these
Yes.
other people, or they were influenced by their work. I guess
Yeah.
it's all talking about the same thing. But yeah, I just remember reading Wayne Dyer's books when I was younger and just going, oh my gosh, thoughts are really powerful. So
100%.
once
It's
you know that,
crazy.
and once you can sort of develop your mindset,
Yeah.
it's like
Everything
you can
changes.
achieve anything.
It's
Watch
so
what
true.
happens. Watch what
Yeah.
happens when you change your thinking. I guess, yeah, even if you think about the sentence as within, so without. I
Yes.
remember it actually took me quite a while to fully grasp what that actually meant.
Me too. 100%.
Yeah.
And it even plays out in like what you were talking about a while ago about that the world is your mirror.
Yes.
as within, so without. What you've got within you is what you'll see outside of you,
Yeah.
etc. So it's been a really, I was the same. That took a while for me to really resonate with and understand.
Yeah.
But being the same as you, a bit of a nerd, like
Yes.
massively, I will study and read all day, every day if I could. But
Yeah.
I actually had to go and do all of the sciencey research stuff around this energy and thoughts and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if you've come across Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Oh, amazing. Love his
Amazing.
work.
Love
Yeah.
his work. And he's got this book called The Biology of Belief. And it's how your thoughts and your belief systems can literally change the way you perceive the world. And those belief systems just being, it's like if you were an author, your belief systems are your pen.
Yes.
And you having the right beliefs is what will create your book or your story. And so what do you need to believe about yourself and about your life in order to get what you want? And this is where a lot of it will be confidence. Like a lot of people will need, okay, this is what I want. This is what I really want. I know the beliefs that I probably need to embed to get there, but unfortunately, I don't actually think that I'm good enough, or unfortunately, I don't have the confidence to do it. So do you have any little quick tips for
Oh my gosh,
confidence?
I do. This is where you step into the fake it till you make it. So totally get that. Sometimes it can be too foreign. So you think in my core, I still have this pretty strong belief of I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
This is so common. I think it's the crux of most problems that walk in my door. I've had the same thing. That's why I found this work so useful for me.
Yeah.
I would say, first off, act as if you are good enough. So it might feel pretend, but even if you conjure up that person where you're like, well, she's acting as if, so I'm just going to pretend to kind of be like that.
Yeah.
And then you will start getting the feedback from the outside that builds that inner confidence where you go, oh my God, maybe I am doing this. Maybe I am good enough.
Yeah.
Because people are responding to me in a different way now that I'm acting differently. So I do believe in that fake it till you make it, even if part of it is just thinking about your body language. But people might be like, I'm not confident enough to speak to people. I would say, do you know what we're getting you to practice? Is just thinking, what would somebody that's confident do with their eye contact? They would make eye contact. And when they enter a room, they think to themselves, I'm cool to take up space in here. I'm going to put my shoulders back and my chin up. So even if it feels foreign and on the inside you might be shaking. But once you start to do that, people will respond to you because you're making eye contact. You might get a few hellos from people and you're like, oh my God, I'm being seen. I think I'm all right.
Yeah, so true. I love it. It's
Build
so
on it.
fake it till you make it. And eventually it sort of gives you enough feedback that you start to believe it. So it's so important. I love it so much.
Yes.
How important would you say, because you've mentioned visualizing and imagination?
Yeah.
Do you do that as your practice or ask your clients to do some visualizing?
Oh my gosh. I think if you don't do anything and that's the only thing that you do that.
Yeah, I agree so much.
Start in your head.
Yeah.
What do I want to do? What does it look like? How am I behaving?
Yeah.
Who do I want to be with? Who am I surrounded by? What kind of people am I letting into my life?
Yeah.
I mean, we could even joke about it. Like, where do I want to get a car park when I pull up to the shops today?
I do that.
Visualize it straight out the front. So we know that's often where they start introducing that concept in books, isn't it? Like, you can visualize where your car park is. If you don't believe you're going to get it close by, you're never going to get it close by.
So true. And there's actually so many crazy studies and stuff like mental rehearsal. Like all of the high performance sports coaches and things. And there's been different groups in the studies. They'll do a control group where they actually went and did, say, the bicep curls, and the other group actually visualized the bicep curls. And there is some crazy like evidence and science coming to back mental rehearsal, because our body responds to our mind. Like, it's just fascinating.
It blows you away, doesn't it? You've got to believe it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I would love to know just a few before, because I could talk to you for hours, like I said in the beginning, and I know you've probably got your kids to spend time with this afternoon. So let's do some quick rapid fire questions just to finish up, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Hit me with them.
All right. I think actually I'm really interested to know this one. So if you could have a dinner date with anybody dead or alive, who would you choose and why?
Oh my God, it would be Bob Proctor. And you would be my plus one on that day.
Yes. Oh my God, that would be the best.
Once this COVID shit show is over. Let's
Mm.
make it happen.
Oh my God. I think I would be,
Bob Proctor to Adelaide and Perth, or one of those vicinities, and we'll all have the three of us together.
yeah.
Have a good old chat that will probably go for hours on end.
Oh, I would love that so much. I
Wouldn't that
can't
be
imagine.
amazing?
Yeah, anything better. We'll
Yeah.
make it happen. We'll visualize that together.
Yes, yes, it's in my head.
All right. Let's say that you, like right now, I'm just about to drop infinite amounts of money into your bank account. What is the thing that you would do first?
Oh, do you know, I've been visualizing a private practice
Yeah.
where I have other practitioners working from the same centre, obviously.
Ooh.
But maybe something with a bit of a day spa, a masseuse.
Yeah.
Nice waiting area where you get beautiful cups of tea, the essential oils are on.
Yeah. Like a
Something like
self-care,
that.
psychology. I
Bit
love
of a
that.
retreat.
Yeah.
Yes. Could be in a beautiful location where there's lots of open space around, nature out the windows.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Do you have a favorite book or podcast or resource or something that you sort of recommend to your clients?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mastering Your Mean Girl by
Yeah.
Melissa Ambrosini.
Okay. Yep.
Got to get it.
Good one.
Yes.
I like it. What's the piece of advice that you would give to your younger self on her darkest day?
Oh my gosh, you are so enough.
Oh, I love that. I just got goosebumps. That's all from me, Sarah. I love speaking to you every single time I talk to you.
Likewise.
Oh,
I'm so lit up. We can't
Yeah.
shut up.
No, I know. And it could go for hours. We might have to do a part 2. Just
Absolutely. I'd be so up for that.
yeah. We'll
Thank you so much, Bree. Keep doing the work that you do. It matters.
Thank you so much.
Women supporting women. This is what it's all about.
Yes, love it. Thank you so much. I'll speak
That's
to you soon.
Bree.
Bye.